Today, we stand before the radiant mystery of the most Holy Trinity. One God in three persons, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. This solemnity is not only important to us as the namesake of our parish, it invites us to dive into and live our lives by what's known as a Trinitarian spirituality. It's a way of life that invites one to experience the depths of divine love, a love that shapes our lives and carries us through our deepest struggles. This feast today is so central to our faith is more than just a theological puzzle. It's the living God who creates, redeems, and draws us into his communion. It's a communion that sustains us, especially when life's trials test our faith. Our readings today show us that this is kind of like a dynamic love story. In Proverbs, wisdom, whom the church identifies with the Son and the Spirit, exults in creation. It shows us that the Trinity isn't just static, it's a communion of love, an eternal dance, kind of like a dance of self-giving. The Father pours himself out to the Son returns all to the Father, and the Spirit is the love that binds them. Now, this isn't some sort of abstract doctrine. It's the very structure of our reality. God's life is love, and we were created in order to share in it. But this communion with us and how the Trinity fits in our daily lives is where many of us kind of hit a theological wall. You see, God's experience of time is utterly unlike ours. The Trinity dwells in what can be called an eternal present, a single boundless now where there's no past, there's no future, just the fullness of love. Now, human time, by contrast, it's fragmented. We invented clocks and calendars in order to track what just happened and plan for tomorrow. We also are haunted by memories of what was and anxieties about what might be. But the past only exists in our minds, the future only in our plans. Another significant thing about today is it is Father's Day. And for me, it's all the more significant because 3 years ago on Father's Day is when my dad and I said, "See you later," for the last time. When he passed, I wanted to cling to regrets, things unsaid, moments missed. I was blessed and lucky enough to work with him day in and day out for over 20 years. And even though the dementia that slowly took him away from me was real, I was still devastated by the realization of the future without him. But I was able to remind myself that God, who is eternal, holds all moments in his hands. The silver lining to it was to realize that what Trinitarian spirituality was all about. It's about the ability to root ourselves in God's divine now, trusting that the Father's plan, the Son's sacrifice, and the Spirit's guidance are at work in this very moment, weaving even our pain into his eternal purposes. St. Paul, in our second reading, makes clear that through the Son's cross, we're reconciled to the Father. Through the Spirit, his love floods our souls. Paul doesn't sugarcoat life. He speaks of trials, but says that they produce endurance, character, and hope. Why? Well, because the Spirit is at work, transforming suffering into glory. Father's Day brings that into focus because the role of a father is to know the weight of responsibility, providing, protecting, guiding, often in a world that feels chaotic. When loss leaves us with a massive void, the Spirit is there whispering love, hope, turning grief into a deeper trust in God's fatherly care, a care that transcends our fleeting human timelines. Now, for the dads here and for those of us that are missing our fathers today, the Trinity teaches us to lean into the Spirit, who makes us cry, Abba, Father, even in our pain. And finally, in today's gospel, Jesus promises the Spirit of truth, who will glorify me and reveal the Father. The Trinity is a perfect circle of love, not some detached and distant God. This is a God who enters into our mess, unbound by our linear time. In our media-saturated age, we're bombarded with voices, social media, news, other twisted ideologies telling us what to value. Parents and non-parents alike feel this acutely. How do you live your life or raise kids in a culture that often mocks faith, life, marriage itself? The Spirit is our guide. It's a divine GPS that cuts through the noise with that still, small voice. After my dad's death, I felt that nudge to pray, to forgive old wounds, to honor his legacy by living for Christ. For fathers, it might mean something as simple as turning off the phone to play with your kids. It could even mean something like risking alienating them by defending the capital T truth in a hostile world. For all of us, it's about trusting those promptings, praying when stressed, forgiving when angry, standing for what is right. Living a Trinitarian spirituality is the antidote for our struggles. It's easy to cling to a loss or tragedy and let it crush us, make us bitter. But the Trinity's eternal love holds us fast. The Father creates us with purpose. The Son redeems us with his blood. The Spirit guides us through sorrow. God's timeless love embraces our temporal wounds, inviting us to not only live just in this little narrow strip of reality that we call now, but in his eternal now. On this Father's Day, honor fathers, living or deceased, by living differently. Fathers, reflect God's love in your sacrifice. Those that grieve or suffer, trust that God's love endures beyond our earthly clocks. And let us all live in the eternal love of the Father, and of the Son, of the Holy Spirit.